The next problem we're going to look at is from our variables and patterns unit. And this problem is going to focus on using algebraic equations to help us answer questions. So in this problem, it says a middle school wants to have its students see a movie at a local theater. The total cost of the theater and the movie rental is $1,500. We're going to write and solve an equation to show how many students went to the movies if it costs $10 per student. So the first thing I have to think about is, what is my key information in this problem? So it gives us some important information about renting this theater. One thing it tells us is that the total cost of the whole rental is that $1,500. It also tells us that it's $10 for every student who's planning on going to this trip. So I'm going to start by writing our equation. So I know that it's going to cost $10 for every student, but we don't necessarily know how many students are going. That's something that we're trying to figure out. So what I need to do is I need to define my variable. A variable in this problem could kind of change depending on the situation. So for number of students, because we don't know what that is, I'm going to use the letter n. So n is going to equal the number of students. Right? And I know it's $10 for every student that's going to go. So instead of adding $10 the number of times the number of students are going to be, I'm going to use multiplication and say I can just multiply $10 by however many students are attending, or 10 times n. And that should give me my total cost of $1,500. Now, if you look at this side, we have our variable, our number of students, and it's being multiplied by $10. So this 10 actually has a name, and the name that we can give that 10 is called a coefficient, because it's a number being multiplied by a variable. This coefficient is also important because it's our unit rate. It's $10 per one student. That's how much it costs for one student to go. So now that we kind of have this equation, let's look and see what this really means. It means if I multiply $10 by something, some amount of students, I'm going to get a total of $1,500. And in this problem, I want to find out what that variable is. We need to find out how many times I need to multiply 10 to get up to 1,500, or how many groups of 10 it will take, I need to make to get up to 1,500. So because we're missing part of a multiplication problem, what we can think about using is that inverse operation of multiplication, which is division. So if I want to figure out how many groups of 10 there are in 1,500, I can really do 1,500 divided by 10. And if we use kind of our canceling out zeros or annexing zeros trick, if I know I'm dividing a number by 10, really, if I'm taking 1,500, breaking into groups of 10, we can annex this 0 off of 1,500 and know that it would be 150. So my n, or my number of students, would be 150 students.